This rather big book is the New International Version of the Bible, a book which holds its a unique distinction of being the single most translated work on earth. And that should come as no surprise to us because it has also had behind it a rather sophisticated and institutionalized marketing department. It's had a lot of money thrown at it. It is present in schools, in prisons, in courthouses. It is almost everywhere. It has traveled the world with missionaries. It has had, as I say, a lot of money thrown at it. It has had some rather sophisticated marketing thrown at it. It's had the sword behind it. So it should come as no surprise to us. However, this one is rather thin. It's rather short. It is 81 short chapters, and in this particular version, it's really just one page per chapter. And yet this is the second most translated book in the world. It has no sophisticated marketing. It has no missionaries. It has no one walking around handing these out at train stations, bus stations. It's not in hotel rooms. And yet, for some or other reason, this book, after 2,500 years, is still the second most translated book in the world and is passed along from person to person, dorm rooms, schools, rallies, conversations, family events. Somehow, somewhere, someone says, here you go, take a look at this. There is a particular line from chapter 64 of this book, the Tao Te Ching, which is known pretty much by almost everybody. We've probably seen it on t-shirts, posters, tattoos, and it goes like this. A journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step. We've seen it. It's all over the place. And this is where it comes from. Yes, that particular line has been mistranslated just a little bit, but when we get to chapter 64, that's when we'll talk about it. For now, let's take a journey through this particular book. Let's read it chapter by chapter, and let's talk and let's see what is Lao-Tzu really trying to tell us through the mists of time. What is he trying to bring across? What does he want us to know? So many legends abound about who he is, why it was written, and we're really not going to go into that. That's a discussion for another time, and perhaps we will have that discussion. But for now, we can only start at the best place, the beginning, and that's chapter 1. So, the Tao Te Ching chapter 1 starts like so. And whenever I read from the Tao Te Ching for this series, I will always take the Jia Fu Feng and Jane English translation. This is one I particularly like. And it starts, the very first line, like this. The Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao. The name that can be named is not the eternal name. The nameless is the beginning of heaven and earth. The named is the mother of 10,000 things. Ever desireless, one can see the mystery. Ever desiring, one can see the manifestations. These two spring from the same source but differ in name. This appears as darkness, darkness within darkness, the gate to all mystery. What does this all mean? Some have said that this opening means that we must never speak of the Tao, that even if we do, we can never have any real understanding of it. Instead, what Lao-Tzu is really saying, where the Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao, the name that can be named is not the eternal name, is that it is beyond the power of spoken words to describe, and it is beyond the power of written words to define. We can't treat it, he is saying, and he emphasizes again and again throughout the book, as we would a philosophy, as we would a set of rules, as if we want something to put up on a wall and say, here we go, here's a list. This is how things work. This is the Tao, and this is how we need to bring it into our life and to work with it. Instead, what he is saying is we cannot understand it by intellect alone. It is something that must be experienced. It is something that must be practiced. It is something where one day we'll go, wait, I see it. I've been doing this again and again and looking again and again and reading again and again, and somehow something went click. I felt it, I saw it, I know it, I'm ready to move on. It cannot be understood by intellect alone. It is beyond the power of spoken words to describe and beyond written words to define. The nameless is the beginning of heaven and earth, he says, and the named is the mother of the 10,000 things. What he's saying here is that before the universe came into being, concepts and things did not exist. They were nameless. They did not have names. And it's only when physical manifestation took part, when things began to become part of what we see around us with our five senses, that we started to put a name to it. And Lao-Tzu throughout the Tao Te Ching refers to this as the 10,000 things. A lot of people have said, well, why 10,000? What is 10,000? What is the 10,000 things? Does it have some mystical number? And they've tried to analyze this. But really, you know what it really means? It means a really big number. It's a really, really big number. The 10,000 things is just a big number. It's like one, too many, lots, huge amounts, lots. Everything we can see, from this couch to curtains to lights to this book to TVs to bunny rabbits, the clouds, the sky, you, me, everybody. We are all part of the 10,000 things. We are part of the manifestation. We are part of physical reality. Everything that I can see, hear, smell, taste, touch. Those are the 10,000 things. It is everything. And when those things came into being, they were named. It became the named. So there are two things. There are two parts to reality. There's the named and there's the unnamed. And as he says here, these two spring from the same source, but they differ in name. They are different. They have different names. They have different ways of being, but they come from the same place. And he says, ever desireless, one can see the mystery. Ever desiring, one can see the manifestations. So Lao-Tzu says there are two parts to everything. There is the underlying nature of the universe, the Tao, the flow, that thing which is, that makes up everything that is manifested, which we can see. And as long as we continue to desire manifested things, the things of the world, the riches, the power, the fame, and the glory, as long as we hanker after and run after the things of the world, we will only see them. We will see nothing else. When we start to stop desiring those things of the world, then we will see what lies beneath everything. When we can remove some of that, he says, ever desireless, one can see the mystery. We will only always see the manifestations when we desire the manifestations. But if we stop desiring those things that the world throws at us and says, yeah, this is what you need, only then will we see what lies beneath it all. Because desiring the things of the world, we only see the things of the world, and not desiring, we can see the mystery. And this is the opening, chapter 1 of the Tao Te Ching, in a nutshell. Only through experience of the Tao, not through philosophy, through intellect, through being clever, through putting up lists. Only through experience of the Tao can we truly come to see it, feel it, understand it, and know it. This then is the opening to the second most translated book in history.